Welcome back, YouTubers. Mark here again with exoticcarplayplace. And today's the day that you are looking at buying yourself a Lamborghini Gallardo. And today I want to talk about the top 6 things that you might want to look at before you buy a Lamborghini Gallardo. This might be the first supercar you're buying. This might be an upgrade from maybe a Porsche, or a downgrade some might consider. This might be just a change. You want something different, and maybe you're at a time in your life where you're ready to drive a supercar. The Lamborghini Gallardo is a great place to start. And today I want to talk about the top 6 things you might want to look at before buying one. Things that you need to educate yourself with before you buy one of these cars to ensure that you have a happy ownership of a Lamborghini Gallardo. So the first thing you need to look at is the front spoiler. The 2004 model year is the first year that Lamborghini made the Gallardo. Of course, they ran a series 2004 to begin, and 2014 was the end of that production run. But the 2004 model year was the only year when that car first came out that it did not have the front nose lift. And so the 2004 model years were more susceptible to having scrapes on the front bumper. The 2005 and up typically had the front nose lift. And with the nose lift, you were able to clear a lot of steep on-ramps and speed bumps, things like that. So because you had the nose lift, you were able to avoid a lot of that. That doesn't exclude those cars. That doesn't exclude the later cars from damage, but likely there's less chance of there being damage on the underside. So when you're doing an inspection on a Lamborghini Gallardo for the first time, check that front spoiler, check that front bumper. You likely won't find too much on the top side, but if you get down on your knees and look underneath, look at the bottom edge. Some of that, it's all plastic, and it's pretty easy to shatter the bottom side of that spoiler. As well, there's also an aluminum lip that runs the length. And you can find that lip to be bent, scraped, gouged, or ripped right off completely. So it's probably in your best interest to make sure that the front spoiler is in good shape. You know what? It looks great from the top. If it looks great from the bottom, the whole car generally looks great from the top as well. So the second thing you need to look at or be aware of when buying a Lamborghini Gallardo happens to be doing a snap test. What is a snap test? Well, a snap test is a measurement, an electronic digital measurement done with special software that Lamborghini has provided to independent or factory reps to be able to plug into the computer and read how much clutch life is left on the e-gear transmissions. Now that, of course, is only for the e-gears. A manual transmission Gallardo is measured underneath by a good qualified mechanic and check how much clutch life you have by the free play that you have. But on the e-gear cars, you can plug in and do what they call a snap test, and you can actually measure in terms of a percentage how much clutch life is left on that car. Don't forget to negotiate that into the purchase price, because when you do that, likely you're going to be negotiating or dickering on a difference of about $10,000, which happens to be the price of a new clutch. And regarding the snap test is very important because the clutch is not a long-lasting part in the Lamborghini, sadly enough to say. The clutch you'll only get, anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 miles on a clutch, so it's very important you do those checks. So the third thing you want to be aware of is the title, and make sure it has a clear title. A clear title is going to tell you that it doesn't have a flood damage, it doesn't have accident history. These are all common ailments a lot of times with cars. Obviously, a lot of these cars come out of the southern US, and there's been obviously a lot of damaged vehicles, whether it be through fire damage or whether it be through floods or just good old-fashioned accident history. Make sure that you're satisfied with the history on that car. It doesn't also take very much to ring up a bit of a bill when a $5,000–$6,000 windshield hits the insurance claim. Things like that aren't necessarily to be too alarmed about, but just be sure that you're satisfied that you don't have an extensive accident history or a flood damaged car. This title check will verify that for you. So the fourth thing you need to be aware of is leaks. The Lamborghini Gallardo fortunately has a lot of the bottom edge of the car, the engine and the transmission, don't have cover plates, so you're able to see if there's any leaks coming from below the car. Now, leaks can come from a lot of sources in this car. You can get coolant leaks, which come from bad hoses or hose clamps or water pumps. You can have oil leaks, which can come from a lot of different places. Oil can come from, obviously, we're talking about a dry sump setup, which is an external tank separate from the engine. So you can have leaks from some of the piping. You can have leaks from the bottom of the engine. You can have leaks from the top of the engine from sensors. You can have leaks from the oil filter reservoir. Leaks can also come from seals like the AC shaft seal, or the pump shaft can also potentially let out some oil. Another big one is the rear main seal. And when that rear main seal goes, be sure to make sure that you're doing a clutch, and conversely, the clutch and the rear main seal should be done simultaneously. Don't ever do a clutch job and not tackle that rear main seal. Even if that rear main is not leaking when you're doing a clutch, it likely will start leaking somewhere during the life of that clutch, which means you will have to pull the gearbox and the clutch assembly again just to replace a $10 seal. Make sure you do that seal while you're in there. That's going to save you a lot of grief. So again, check for those leaks. Antifreeze, oil leaks, they can be found in a lot of different places. So the fifth thing happens to be around recalls. Now, depending on the car you're looking at, recalls can come in a lot of different formats. Recalls can actually come from, depending on the year, the make, and the model of the car, can look in a lot of different ways. The cars we're talking about right now primarily are early Gallardos. And those ones, the big recall you've probably heard about, happen to be around the power steering lines. The power steering lines have been known to rupture and potentially leak, spilling explosive or flammable fluids all over the place, and of course igniting and burning the car to the ground. If that happens, bye-bye car. So that's a recall that Lamborghini felt was worth mentioning. It didn't happen to a lot of cars, but it did. But it was important enough by Lamborghini to make a point of it and make a bulletin about it and initiate a series of recalls for that power steering lines. Make sure you get those lines done. If the car's power steering lines have not been done, make sure they get done once you get the car. You don't want to have this issue. And because Lamborghini pays for it, it's likely going to be easy on the pocketbook as well. And lastly, the sixth thing that you have to be aware of with these Lamborghini Gallardos, and it's not uncommon to see engine lights. Just make sure you don't have any engine lights on the car when you buy it, or you're looking at a potential purchase. Make sure you don't have engine lights that are troubling. Engine lights can come from a lot of different places. They can come from bad vacuum lines. They can come from a misfire from either a spark plug or possibly an ignition coil. They can come from a lot of places that can impact the way the vehicle runs. Now, we also know that a lot of owners of the Lamborghini Gallardos love to modify their cars, and modifications are usually one of the first things that people do is the exhaust system. It's very common to have an exhaust system light and engine light. What you want to do is make sure that if you're doing a modification, you do your research that you don't have these engine lights popping up randomly. There's things that you can do to prevent engine lights, but as a buyer, if you see an engine light, ask the questions. You want to get that checked out, because an engine light can be a simple fact of an O2 sensor seeing turbulence in the exhaust system because you have an aftermarket cat bypass system installed, or it could mean a much larger issue that has to do with the engine directly. Either way, do inspect it. If you have an engine light, be very cautious. Make sure you're satisfied with that engine light, what it means, and what it takes to rectify the problem. Don't go away without having those questions answered. And lastly, I want to summarize by saying, if you're looking at buying a Lamborghini Gallardo, make sure you have a great service network available, a great mechanic. And speaking of mechanics, I'll tell you right now, my mechanic has quoted as saying the only thing cheap on a Lamborghini is its owner. So take that to the bank. Really what that comes down to is trying to be thrifty. Lamborghinis aren't cheap to maintain. Although that being said, the Gallardo is probably the most economical and most reliable Lamborghini to date. And therefore it makes a very good purchase from a used car standpoint. if you're interested in buying your first supercar, this is a great place to start. All right, everybody. This is Mark at exoticcarplayplace signing out today. And like I said, I just want to make sure you guys want to see more Lamborghini content. Please do make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends, and I will be providing much more great content. But till the next time, see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.